Okay, we'll make a start. Thanks for joining me today. Our webinar is about Datgel Generation 3 and the DGD Tool version 6, which is one of the aspects of version Generation 3. And this new version, well, our old generation supports AGS 4.1.1 and the Australian version of that as well. Now in the Teams app, there's an option for Q&A. So you can't chat during the meeting, but you can ask questions through the Q&A. I will see them, and we'll be, I will answer them. I'll stop halfway through for questions approximately, and at the end. Okay, so the agenda today, I will be first introduce things, then we'll go for go through an overview of the gINT and Datgel solution, and then I'll detail the new major features of Generation 3. Then we'll take a few questions, if any, and then we'll move on to the Datgel products and their functionality, starting with the DGD tool, and then the other products. Pretty overview. I'll do a demo of the DGD tool as we go, and at the end we'll explain how you can trial our products. So very briefly about me, I'm a geotechnical engineer. I worked for about 4.5 years as a geotechnical consultant in Sydney, Australia, predominantly. And after that, the rest of my career, I've been doing something like this: geotechnical data management, software development. I probably wrote about half the code from Datgel, sales and marketing. I'm also the founder of the company, and I contributed significantly to AGS formats around the world, in Australia, and I sit on the committee in the UK as well. So a little bit about Datgel. We're a software company. We employ software engineers and application engineers, and our main business has been a third-party developer of gINT technology. We have in excess of our customer base, right, is about 262 companies around the world in 37 countries. And we are also a reseller of gINT. We can resell that to most small, medium-sized companies around the world as well. Now, gINT is, of course, a very important part of this whole solution. It's the core platform of what Datgel offers. It brings the core functionality of the data management engine, the add functionality. It interacts with other Bentley software. You can have a backend database, which is Access or SQL Server. And it allows you to centrally manage all your data in one system, right? And then Datgel's software is built on top of this. So together, Datgel and gINT allows us to manage and report all types of geotechnical data, be it field testing, lab testing, instrumentation results, in one system. And then gINT has some mapping and 3D modeling tools, which allow you to enhance the visualization of that. Our goal is to allow you to have one single source of truth database for your projects or for your whole organization, to eliminate the need to enter data many times into 100 spreadsheets for a project, and to provide you the ability to present your data in the best possible way. So the core of the solution is gINT. Then the Datgel DGD tool is our Datgel's main product that sits around gINT. Get to that in detail a little later. Then we have a series of more geotechnical tools, so these tools in brown, they form part of the Datgel Toolbox product. So you can buy, for one simple purchase, one line item, you can get all of these Datgel tools in one pack. And then we have these other utility tools over here on the left, which are not part of the Toolbox product, but it's partly part of the installation. You'll see later we also have the thing called the Datgel Toolbox Installer as part of our new solution. or new generation. Okay, so we've got gINT, the main gINT program up here in the middle. gINT Civil Tools is a second installation. It's essentially somewhat like MicroStation, or uses the MicroStation engine. It allows you to do 2D and 3D CAD and mapping. Then we have the gINT collector over here on the left, and the gINT databases, the library and the project database often sit on servers, be it a file server or a database server. So to the generation 3, what have we got? What's new? So this really is the big new feature. We have a cloud-hosted licensing system which uses an identity provider. So based upon user names and passwords, you can access your organization's licenses. And it is so hence it's managed in the cloud, so you can send all the old USB keys back to us now, because almost everyone has migrated over the last 3 months to this system. So how it works is you open, your org admin user has invited you to the licensing system, so then you're in a list of users, and you would be have access to certain licenses, certain products, or you might just have access to everything your company has. It depends on what the administrator wants to do. Now, when you open gINT potentially straight away or after a while, when you call the Datgel add-in, you would begin to occupy the product license. And you occupy a license, you take a lease of that license for 10 minutes over the internet. And after 9.5 minutes, we attempt to automatically refresh the license. And if we can, well, it just keeps on doing that until you close gINT, and then next time it doesn't refresh it after 10 minutes, when the next 10 minutes is up. The other option is to check out a license to your computer for a period of up to 90 days, which means you don't need to be on the internet, obviously, to reactivate or take a lease of the license between then and when it expires. And also this whole process, our new system is a lot faster than our old licensing system. There were some bottlenecks in the old system, which the way we've designed this new one, it's more asynchronous. It's more storing data information all locally instead of going across a network every time. So it does ultimately result in a faster experience. Now, the identity provider, yes, it's part of the licensing system. And that's what the id.datgel.com is. But also we can use this to create a single sign-on for all of our client-facing, customer-facing web applications. So we have already linked this up to Jira Service Management, which is where we do our support tickets. And we use that internally for our software development, project management. And we are today literally working on linking this identity management up to our website. So then you will literally have one login for Datgels, to interact with Datgel instead of currently 2 or 3 as of last week. But you can even avoid that by federating, in that sense of you don't need to have a Datgel username and password as such, because you can federate your Datgel ID to Azure Active Directory. And then you can log in with your Office 365 user account, which probably in your, for most companies, as same for mine, is we have already synced that up with our Windows domain user account. So we actually only have one password that I utilize regularly for my company or applications. And we've had three customers so far have federated with Azure Active Directory, and of course internally we're using that. And I found it very convenient. Okay, another big thing is we have one installation package for all our products. So instead of having 9 or whatever it was before, so you literally run one installer, download one file, run one installer. You can select which products you wish to install, but you can just install everything, and it doesn't really matter. Then there's a command line tools to select which products you want to install, and if you want to be quiet, or verbose or whatever. This is documented in our docs. So you can definitely push this out across your organization's installer, automatic installation tools. Another thing we've done is we've reduced the number of license types that we offer. But for two reasons. Like, to start with, mainly the fence and map tool was offered in the past as an office-wide license, a country license, or an international license, where you pay one fee to use it in that geography. And now that was not very equitable in the way like a big company and a small company pay the same amount of money. One company may use 50 licenses, the other one may use 5 licenses, but the reality they're paying the same amount. So we've got rid of that, and we also wanted to control these products using the licensing system. We had to set quantities to do that. So it just made sense that we just migrate those license types to country seat and international seat style licenses, which is the same type of license as the DGD tool is sold as under. So in the end, basically for the customers who have the DGD tool and the fence and map tool, they sort of come as a pair and you have the same number of licenses. Now, we had another group of companies, particularly offshore companies or the smaller companies. They had single user hardware keys. And that doesn't really fit well with the concept of the cloud license system. So we've migrated, for no cost, we've migrated all the users with single user USB keys to country network licenses. And then they just need to pay the support and maintenance fee for the country network going forward, which is, okay, it's a little bit more, but you didn't pay the upgrade fee. Okay. Now, as you can see, this is on the right here. We just have a screenshot of one customer's download screen for their products. And you can see we've got individual products. And then we have the installer for the Datgel toolbox. More individual products at the bottom. But then this one in red is the multi-product package. So over the last few months, we have developed a new internal application called Datgel Workbench, which automates the creation and publishing of the zip packages that we put on datgel.com. So and also before that, we also have been developing all our products from one big master library and project. So everything gets developed in one place. And then when we come to publish it using Datgel Workbench, we make copies of the library and project, and we chop it up. And we'll delete things. Basically, we delete the things that don't need to be there, and we create and rename it, and we put everything in the right place, or programmatically, and we create a zip. And the other thing, but that's for each individual product, and then we are making a combination of products in the library and project to meet the exact combination that each customer has. So we've analyzed what each, the combinations everyone has, and we made all of the combinations. And we have basically assigned a product with that combination to each customer for download purposes. And even we've made all the combinations with the different localization settings. So this user here is in the Netherlands doing offshore geotechnical engineering predominantly. So it's it's the SI units, British Standard, AGS 4.1. These are the localization settings that apply that best suit what they're going to do, and we set that. All right, I think it's a good time now to take a little stop and see if anyone has any questions about what the Generation 3 has in it, and any experiences anyone has using it so far, because almost all our existing customers have begun. Well, I have one question, but it's about CPT, so the CPT tool, and so the question is, I see you have a separate tool for CPTs. Is it for data analysis, interpretation of soil layers, geotechnical parameters? Well, we're jumping the gun a bit. I was going to talk about that later, but the answer is yes, that is what it does. One of the many things it does. Oh, well, we'll just move forward. So if you have any questions as we go, you can type it into the Q&A, and I will answer them at the end. Okay, so the other, topic 1 was what's in generation 3. Topic 2 of my talk is DGD Tool version 6. So in general, like we're talking about what is the DGD tool as well as what's new in the DGD tool in this sort of section. So the DGD tool is clearly an add-in to gINT so it becomes with a large database that supports all the scope of these AGS formats that you see here, including the Orsted one, AGS 4.1.1. And it has hundreds of reports pre-developed, predefined, which include many log reports for different localizations, and hundreds of graph reports where we're plotting data like, by depth and elevation. Not quite that example here. And histograms and maps and simple cross sections as well. So it also comes with there's a program behind it, right? That does calculations as you're entering data, like calculates the n value as you enter it. Does DCPs. There's a good moment here to just drag the DGD tool over. Well, this is the whole Datgel toolbox library and project, but the DGD tool is the big part of it. And for example, we can go to the SPT table and go to the right point. So here, it can calculate n values, and there are various formats you can use. So that one was not the one that's actually going to calculate. And yeah, well, this is the 3 blow count option. I can switch it to the 6 blow count option. So we can customize the interface to show different standards. I think for this audience we have now, the British standard sort of interface would be the best one. So now we can see the British standard strata description tables. Should be able to see the 6 blow counts here. Enter those in here. And if I go to the British standard example borehole, it might be a bit more practical. So we can show and hide the fields, show and hide tables and groups to customize the interface. Okay, little taster there. Carry on a bit more later on that. So there's many calculations built in, and tools, add-in menus. Show you that. Add-in menus to do different tasks that you do one-off, like import data, export data, calculate data in a one-off way, query surfaces, and set properties in the database, a bit more of a developer, check lists of things. There's many different tools we've built over the years. Drag it away. Okay, now what's new? Well, in version 6, it's quite a mature product, right? To be frank, so there's not we didn't develop. We just improve things, optimize some fix some problems. I think that's the best way to describe that. And we support the new AGS 4.1.1 and AU version. So we had to add a lot of tables and fields to support these new tests that are in AGS 4.1.1. And the other thing we did was we changed the names of all the tables that were longer than 31 characters down to be 31 characters, so that there's no problem importing and exporting to Excel, because that's the limitation of Excel. And we made the geology unit table, geology unit fields, like independent of strata main. Strata main is sort of the equivalent to geol in AGS format, because many of our users said to me that we consider geological units or geotechnical units to be an interpretation, and the data on the geol or strata main table group is more factual. So we split it out, but it can still support importing, exporting AGS format as needed. The other thing with an improvement is we had some things could be entered in on the bottom half of the sample table called the specimen table for like pocket pentrometer and hand vein, and it was a little confusing. So we've removed those fields, and you meant to just put it either in the in situ table if you did it in the field, or the lab table if you did it in the lab. We added a new group to support AGS AU for point load, in situ point load tests or field point load tests. We renamed everything to be self-load with an F. And we've improved the SPT tables with caption, which you just saw, and added all the calibration settings, energy ratios in there as well. I think it's to the point where it's, has what you need for energy ratios. Okay, and the program, we've optimized how some things are getting called, like the calculations getting called when you edit data in the database and when you import data. So it makes it a lot faster, actually, to do some tasks that were unnecessarily degraded before by just simply calling the gINT rules object. Not that we did anything. We've added a new functionality where it automatically can add and remove fields for downhole survey data and their material name from every depth-related table. And then we have a tool, an add-in, where you can calculate that, populate that data. And it can be based upon downhole survey, like downhole. So you got a very deep borehole for a tunnel or a mining project. They would do the calculate exactly where the deviating borehole is in the ground. And some other tools to help you. We also developed a tool we improved it to import access databases into SQL Server using Datgel's import engine. So those of you who are used to using the CPT tool with SQL Server would know that the Datgel import engine takes a second to do what gINT takes half an hour to do. I don't understand why it's so slow, but it is. And so we've significantly improved the speed of also importing access databases into the system as well. But there are limitations in both of those examples I said, where the Datgel import engine cannot support complicated or functions in the expressions. Actually, it only really supports very simple functions in the expressions. It's probably a better way to describe it. So it has its limits. Let's put it that way. Now reporting and other aspects, we added some logs in Spanish. Don't see anyone from Spain here, but we did that. And we have obviously developed and updated our correspondence files to support the new database and the AGS 4.1.1. So there are two editions with the DGD tool. There's the logs edition, which mimics or matches what you can do with gINT logs, and the professional edition, which does everything that we've described so far. Okay, to the CPT tool. Well, that sort of now answer the question that I had from Janice earlier. So the CPT tool is, again, an add-in to gINT. It shares the same core structure as DGD tool, related to CPTs, and they can all sit in the same database happily. It allows you to import many tests, like say hundreds of tests, data files at the same time in one go. And you can manage all the data for CPTs and dissipation tests in one database. And you can then calculate correlations and derive parameters and soil behavior types and so on, liquefaction, pile capacity. And it can do checks against, say you're working on a quality control project during construction, it can check against specification requirements. And so one of the newer things we've created in this, it's not like in this exact release, the previous release, we developed export of GEF. So you can import the GEF data, you can process it, edit it a bit, and then export it out to the latest version of GEF and provide that to your customer if you so need. Now, some of the things that are new in this tool, this version, to eliminate the confusion, we have renamed the unit system that we called English to USC, which stands for US Customary Units. And we have optimized the calculation a bit. I found some bottlenecks in that basically the process of looking at the English unit thing. So it does, under some scenarios, significantly calculate faster. And we restructured the database a bit to have tables for zero data instead of having that in the CPT general table, which is the top half of the main CPT tab, which meant it made the table very wide and a bit hard to hard to use. We added a child table where it has a list of parameters. So I can show you best if we can put something here. Zeros. Here we are. So it's a practical example. Got the parameters, the zeros. Maybe it's not them. They could have more zeros. This data's a little bit contrived. Okay, and this sort of structure that you see here is how AGS 4.2, the draft AGS 4.2 for CPTs, which I'm developing with my colleagues on the AGS 4.2 committee in the UK. That's the way the structure will work in the future for AGS 4.2. Okay, moving on. The output tool is essentially it's a nice interface to scripts, GINT scripts. GINT scripts. One of the things GINT scripts does is it tells GINT what reports to output. PDF, print, preview, and which reports, what's key sets, what parameters you want to, settings you want to put in if necessary, and that's fine. I mean, you can do that using GINT scripts if you have a simple couple of settings. But if you have a very complicated requirement, or you wish to, more importantly, if you wish to loop around many boreholes, many point IDs, producing many. So here's an example here. Many, like borehole 2 has non-cord, cord, core photo, lab summary, then borehole 3. If you want to produce this sort of structure for many boreholes, GINT scripts try to do it manually. Well, you can't really do it, right? You'll be there for the rest of your day clicking. So this tool automates that sort of process. And another example of what it can do is it can print many reports, many graphs, grouped by a geological unit, which is what this exact example is. And so you can save these settings in the GINT library, in the GINT project, on your local computer, and your local user on your local computer, or in the SQL Server database, so that you can recall the settings easily on another project, without having to recreate them. Here's other ways. You can import, export settings as well to give to people if needed. The Fence and Map tool is essentially like an add-in to the DGD tool. You must have the DGD tool first. This adds more functionality to it for fence reports. So there are about 90 options of data presentation. You get scale bars, you get dynamic legends, and you get 46 different report layouts with different page sizes. And here's an example of the different data presentations which can be achieved on the Fence and Map tool. The fences. Now the map bit is you got some maps, all the different page sizes with scale bars and nice looking layouts, and it automatically fits the data to the page to the next good scale. The photo tool is an efficiency system. You don't have to manually browse to each file from a GINT table like the native GINT suggestions are, all types they suggested. In our approach, you put all the files in a folder, and then, which is a child in the same location as your GINT project database, like a subfolder, and you rename your file, all your JPEG files in this sort of syntax. Say this is a core photo, and then you call the command to read the file names, and it adds a record to the database for each core box photo in this example. And then you go print your reports, and you can design the reports to present the data, how you like. Of course, we provide some examples which you can then adapt. And you can show, for test bed photos, I think it's most practical, you can show a description below each photo. Okay, I made a few changes in this version. Primarily, I renamed the reports to a better naming convention. which is pretty minor stuff. And we did add another set of reports, I guess 3 per page, I remember correctly. The monitoring tool, it is a tool to process, calculate, present instrumentation data. And that includes all the instruments you see listed here. Oh, and also produces reports of the installation information, right? Where the pipe is in the ground or whatever. Okay, and so we have recently, like I think it was late last year, we developed the ability to do inclinometer velocity calculations. So we have been developing this a little, and we added more over the last 2 years. We have added more vibrating wire piezometer formulas to the tool. Oh, we added more reports as well to support, particularly the velocity of calculation. For examples there. Yeah, the advanced in situ tool is, as the name suggests, designed to, other than CPTs, it's the other in situ tests that you might do that require calculations. So the 2 tests we have at the moment in here are Lujon water tests, or Packer tests, or water pressure tests, whatever you like to call them, there's many names. But we're doing it to one calculation method called Holsby 1976. And the second thing we have is zone load tests, and all the related sort of settings for that. The lab tool, it supports ISO TS, so Eurocode, lab standards, British standard, the older British standard, and ASTM for most common lab tests, in geotechnical lab tests. There's a few and there's interactive graphs where it is convenient to do so. Some reports presenting the data. So we have a standard report layout which you could customize in one place, and that would be applied in all the reports. And the Datgel Security Tool Enterprise. This tool allows you to control. It only applies to SQL Server, gINT SQL Server, so gINT Pro Plus, and allows you to control or define who can edit data in each project, or even edit a particular point ID, or edit a particular lab test, all linked back to their domain Active Directory user or their SQL Server user account. So it all works only from the gINT interface, but you still have to sort of limit people's access to the SQL Server database directly yourself outside of this. So without such a tool, if you have access, if a user has edit rights to the gINT database, they can edit anything in the database. You keep that in mind. There's not natively any tools, anything that locks them out of records in the database. So it's important that you have some control, some restrictions set up, and that's why we created this. So Datgel is a reseller of gINT. That's where we started, and we started out as a consultant at customizing gINT. These days, our main business is developing add-ins to gINT, so our own IP, our own products. But we also continue to offer professional services related to gINT or unrelated to gINT. So we can develop new programs, we can create new reports in gINT, we can develop new add-ins to gINT if needed, if you wish. And we run training courses as well on top of on how to use the solution. So your next step is to evaluate our products. So if you don't currently have gINT in your organization or installed on your computer, we can offer you the installer, so you can explain to you how to run use the trial. And if you need a longer trial, we can organize that. You can download the Datgel software off our website, the trial packages, but we need to assign a license to you. So you have to request that we sign particular licenses to you after you've downloaded it, although we will see you download it. And if you have any questions, you can email us. There's technical questions, you can email support@datgel.com. We also have we have some how-to videos on our YouTube channel, and we have like, obviously you can access our docs. I was going to just open some of these links now, show you, particularly, these two I'm mentioning, docs and the YouTube channel. This is where you get the best information. We are. So obviously we have these how-to videos here, particularly the CPT tool, 1 hour training, I think would be very useful to someone new to the CPT tool. And the docs, each product has its own space in the docs. And you can read the quick start guide. I think is a very good place to get, as the name suggests, get started, and even explains to you how to install the software, all in one page, one long page. And then you can drill into the details of each feature in the user guide and the how-tos, articles, and so on. All right. So, well, I see we have a couple of questions that I can answer. That's where we're up to now. Okay, so another question from Janice. Are there any tools for dynamic penetration, DPL, DPM, DPSH tests, and SPT analysis and interpretation? Okay, well, we do have DCP, which I know is not exactly what you said, but it's the handheld version of that. We do have that configured in here. And it will calculate correlations if you've set the right stuff in. And you can enter the data in 2 ways, like by depth, which is what this is, like a number of blow counts over a given fixed range, or each blow count is sort of one row is one blow. But no, we haven't, we haven't done the more like the machine-driven dynamic probes, no. And for SPTs, we have some. I mean, not in a. We haven't done everything you're suggesting. We have not done the complete interpretation, but we do calculate N60. This is not a good example. All right, so we do calculate N60 and N160, and if you have the energy ratio, it uses that. If not, it'll use some correlations. So we are doing that, but we have not developed any soil parameter correlations to SPT as yet. Okay, now I have a question. Next question is from Solly. We have one license of the CPT tool, photo tool, GINT professional, and you have the DGD tool. Can multiple users download any of these tools and use at different times only? One. All right, okay. So he's asking, okay, we've got one seat of GINT and a bunch of Datgel products. Can one person use it at once, or can one person use it? Can many people use it at different times? So let's explain how the GINT license and the Datgel license works, because I mean there's some relationship, but of course they're different. We'll start with GINT because it's more it's the starting point, right? So if you have one perpetual license of GINT with Select, you may install GINT on GINT Professional. You may install GINT Professional, or if there's only one installed, you install GINT on many computers, say 5 computers in your office or in your country, right? It's by country. And when you install it, you need to select GINT Professional during the installation process, or set it later if you forgot to. And then you may use GINT on one computer at a time in a given 10-minute period, actually, sort of thing. But more like if one person has GINT open, they close it, and a second person opens it, instantaneously after that. ultimately, how that works results in that's one user at a time. So you can use gINT one user at a time, and that's because you have one license, one concurrent license. And the Datgel products are similar, right? The Datgel DGD tool, the CPT tool, the photo tool. They are ultimately, in that respect, one user at a time, but they're separate, right? So if you did happen to have 3 licenses of gINT Professional, you had one photo tool, you could use photo tool on one computer and not use it on the other 2 computers. But if somebody then had it open on one computer and they closed gINT, it releases the photo tool license then within 10 minutes. And then another person on a different computer can then open the photo tool. So I think the point is here, you buy one license, all of these licenses essentially end up being one concurrent user. Now, with gINT, it doesn't stop you using more licenses than you hold if you don't set any warnings up. So you got to be careful that you don't use more licenses than you hold of gINT, or you will get a bill from Bentley Systems. But using the Datgel DGD tool in together with gINT, it will help you limit your excess use, because we do check the DGD tool license every time you open gINT, and you will be blocked from opening gINT if you can't find a license because somebody else has it open. So you will be limited from overusing and getting those extra bills. That was the latter part of Solly's question. Okay, any further questions from anyone else? Well, maybe I should spend a few minutes, because we go a little faster in my last webinar. We can spend a few minutes showing a few reports here. So get output here. Run my favorite CPT log. Export to PDF. Here it is. So, I mean, what stands this solution apart, it's gINT as well as Datgel, is the ability to present data so well, and the ability to customize the reports to present that data how you want it. And I have not come across any other products that can do it as well. They might do something less complicated faster, right? I don't disagree that sometimes it's not the fastest possible thing in the market, but can it really do this? No, these other products cannot present this that I've seen. And you can customize this report on demand, right, to present the columns you want. Again, like, I don't think anything else, I really have never seen anything else be able to do this. So, 8.3 log preview, pick the columns you want. I'll let it best fit that to the page, but I could pick more. now. I'm preview now, so you won't have to close the PDF. I think another while it's doing that, another thing you should, if you want to investigate the software a bit more, is the example reports that are available when the downloads, like in the PDF download. You can view them. I mean, there's like the trial download. You can view all the things that the products can do in these examples. This was not the best one for me to open. Should open up DGD Tool. Yeah, anyway, the CPT tool is now finished. This is the report. So you note how we have the two different sort of parameters that have been calculated, presented. Okay, I could have presented a factor of safety report, but I did not. You can see the variation, I guess. All right, anyway, back to the DGD tool example to wrap things up. So this PDF is available, to download directly from our website. It's also in the zip. So every example report is listed here. It's simple fences with a fencer map tool. I mean, with the DGD tool, and plots of data. Versus depth and elevation. So let's get to it. So there's an elevation plot. Here's a depth plot. I have a few more questions while I've been talking. Okay, liquefaction the question is the tool for liquefaction checks included in the CPT tool? Yes, we only have one version of the CPT tool, and it has all liquefaction, pile capacity, everything related to CPTs is in one tool. Another question we have from Charles: do you have any future plans to run webinars on how to process in situ data? Well, I think for, as we mean by in situ data, I do have two webinars that we did in the past. Okay, this one's quite a while ago, but this one talks about how to use the DGD tool, and this one is not so long ago on the how to use the CPT tool, and it did get to all the details. So we definitely can run other webinars on particular topics. We run training courses, of course, public training courses on how to do things. Okay, cross sections. Yes, I've been asked, can I produce a cross section? Certainly. So we'll exit the preview here. Fences. All right, so this has the whole fencer map tool in here. So a lot of different presentations and a few things. We'll do this one. Pick. What's down here? What should I do? All right, I will pick these boreholes because I know that they're going to look all right because they're together and they have some data works. So I'm going to pick, so what I'm picking here is the legend graphic material, like the material graphic symbol, with the geological unit color behind it. The CPTs will just have well, they may not have anything, but it's going to be the soil behavior type, if there is some, and sure there is, and we can plot the RQD and SPT on one side, the left. So, and if I put the vein shear data left, but 5 millimeters offset. And just picking a few random things here. Put the piezometer level on the right, and down the bottom here we should have the CPT options. We are so choose QC, friction ratio, spell it, under end shear strength, relative density. All right, we'll click OK to that. And we're going to get a best fit line because I didn't set a baseline. It's nice and set. Okay, so we do have soil behavior types. All right, I'll just zoom in a bit here. We'll just start over here because it looks a bit more data. So we got the piezometer levels, EN values, geological units, the vein shear stuff. So this is the CPT, soil behavior type, results of QC and RF and SU and DR. Okay, we got the material graphic on this borehole with some material graphics on top of the colors, the geological units. Now there is a way to have surfaces presenting the geological layers that you may have modeled somewhere else, but I didn't have any in this example. I have a map down here, and the darker colored ones represent the boreholes on the page, and the grayer ones, a bit hard to tell, but that one's a bit grayer, I guess, is not on the page. We have the legends, so we got the data for the presented on the stick. This is the actual scale, but you can, now we know what scale fits on the page, you could note that, go back and run it at 1 to 1500, 1 to 1000, I guess, to get something more practical. And this is geological units that are actually used on the page. So you can export this to PDF, DGN, DXF, and edit it, using other software after that, if you want to, or you can edit it here. Save the file. Draw polygons on it. Yeah, I won't carefully do it, right? I'll just roughly get something in here. Of course, you can do it carefully. And I can give it a material graphic. That one today. Set the color. And we can put a solid color behind it to really make it jump out. And we can preview. Okay, what I didn't do, I should have made it on the behind, I forgot. So I can set the print order. I think Amir said, should we derive soil layers manually? Well, I guess that's what I did. But you can have surfaces in the database and present the surfaces like as lines, right, on the cross section. So gINT doesn't like automatically join up lines into that, not totally automatically. You have to model a surface and then present it. And you can model the surfaces in gINT Civil Tools. Perhaps I can I have a slide which I wasn't going to show, but I'll just jump to it, right? This is GINT, right? Not Datgel, but you can model, create surfaces in GINT Civil Tools, and you can edit it in GINT Civil Tools, and you can import it back into GINT and present it on the cross-section. All right, well, I think that brings us to the end of our time. Thanks for the questions. Pretty good. Good to get a few. So to recap, if you want a bit more information, you can go to these links. I'll drop everyone an email the next couple of days with, just to follow up, get this information again about how to access the additional data.